It's good to talk. So, what do I mean by that? Well, one of the things I am seeing a lot at the moment is both in my personal and in professional life that people do need to talk about what is going on for them. Being a business owner is an incredibly lonely place. And it is so important that you have the support that is around you, that you seek counsel, but seek counsel from the right people, people who will lift you up, who will support you, but also basically make you accountable and call you out. Because ultimately, I'm a true believer that the true friendships and the true business relationships aren't just going to literally nod their head and agree with everything you say and be there, never mind. The true people will literally turn around and say to you, hang on a second, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Are you overthinking? And they'll be supportive, but also hold you accountable. And I think the one thing with Mental Health Awareness Week coming up, I believe next week, I think it's becoming more on the forefront. So I've had people both in my personal life and in my professional life that have been seeking my counsel. And I think there is also another aspect that I think is really important to draw upon here. And that is, and this is one of my favourite quotes, is you cannot pour from an empty cup. So sometimes what you do have to do is if people are coming to you and you have things that you're trying to process yourself and you need to take some time for self-care, self-love, self-worth, is that you have to politely turn around and say that, you know, you want to be there for them, but you need to take some time out for yourself before you can. Because ultimately, if you are empty and you've got nothing in the tank, you're not then going to be able to give them the best type of support and guidance. If anything, you could end up saying the wrong thing. So it's so important that you actually take time away for yourself and make sure that you do some of the self-love and you look after yourself, because ultimately, if you don't look after yourself, you can't then help others. And you may turn around and say to me, Sarah, what on earth has this got to do with a business context? Well, first of all, I think this advice applies to whether this is personal or whether this is professional. Because ultimately, I genuinely believe that at the moment, there are a lot of people that are suffering with their mental health, whether it's to things like PTSD, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety. And I think this can then have a knock-on effect in terms of your business, because ultimately how you feel in yourself will impact things like your business decisions, but it will also impact the general decisions that you make in your life. And ultimately, life is sent to challenge us, and it's how we respond to those challenges which truly make the difference. So I am a big believer, and this is where my life coach has taught me this, is there is a distinction between responding to something and reacting. Reacting is when you just literally blow up and literally something's just happened and there's an immediate reaction to it, right? Whereas responding to it is taking a step back and actually thinking. And I see this a lot with business owners where things happen and there is this immediate reaction. And actually, sometimes what you've got to do is take that step back and think, okay, what process do I need to follow? And a prime example of this is, for example, if you have an employee that is being problematic, and it's okay, you could immediately react and you could immediately dismiss that particular person. But what are the potential ramifications? And this is drawing on obviously my previous legal knowledge, where if you don't follow the correct process, you could end up with a employment tribunal claim. So sometimes that just taking that step back and following a due process can make all of the difference. So this is where, particularly as a business owner, if your mental health is in a poor state and something else happens that's in your business, and what you end up then doing is having this massive explosion, it could then have catastrophic ramifications at a later point. So be aware of where you are in terms of your own mental health, and make sure that you get the necessary support, whether that is talking to friends and family who you know will give you the right type of support and encouragement, and also just won't be a there, never mind. It's also, if you need to, go and speak to somebody like a counsellor, or go and speak to a life coach or a business coach or consultant. And that's not me doing a self-promotion for me. This is about you actually getting the help, because you do not need to face everything alone. And I hear this so many times by various people that say to me, I can deal with it on my own. I don't need any help. I'm fine. Well, you don't need to deal with it on your own. There are people that are around you that care about you and want to support you. So let them. Now, I know that there is an element where people might have let you down and you're reluctant to trust. You know deep down who are the people that you can depend on. And yes, ultimately, I am a believer that the one person you can depend on is yourself. But there are also people out there who want to support you. So let them. Ultimately, we are human beings. We crave love. We crave support. We have feelings, and we're entitled to feel them. And actually, I'm a true believer that a problem halved, or a problem shared, is a problem halved. And I genuinely believe that. So, one of the things I will say to both friends and professional contacts, that if I've got a lot whizzing around in my head, there's a couple of things that I do to help. One, I talk about it. And it's not necessarily because I need advice. It's just because by talking about it, it gives me some clarification. The other thing is journaling. Journaling is really, really important, because you can get all of those emotions and everything that's in your head out. And if you don't necessarily want to share those thoughts immediately, that is a way of actually starting to process those thoughts. So often when I'm journaling, I'll be putting all of my thoughts down, and they can be in a bit of a jumbled mess. But by the time I've come to finishing writing my thoughts, I've actually come to some kind of clarification. And I think that's a really, really important way to be able to help yourself. Now, I feel really, truly blessed, because I have some amazing people in my life. And I would say and I'm going to be very open and honest and transparent with you guys, for most of my life, it's been quite a lonely life. And you may think, well, hang on a second, Sarah, you've been married. And I was like, and to be honest, I'm not knocking my now ex-husband, because he was there for me and so was his family. And my parents have been there for me too. But I know that in my own personality and who I am unique. Everybody is unique. But I know that I'm not a typical female in some ways. I know that I have alpha male traits. I know that sometimes I can be intimidating. I know that and I'm being really, really kind of honest with you guys. I know that sometimes I can be full on, and I can be passionate, etc., and all of these things. And I know that my approach on life is very different to a lot of people. And some people they don't necessarily gel with me, and that's absolutely fine. But the one thing I would say is, recently I've come across what I call my tribe. And I've referred to this a few times, where I'm part of a coaching program myself. I have my own coaching program, but I also have a coach. And the people within that community, I feel like I finally genuinely have my tribe. They actually understand me. They understand what I bring to the table. And they support me, and they encourage me, and they actually tell me at times that I'm amazing. And for me, I think sometimes we forget what we actually do bring to the table and how amazing individuals we are. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has flaws, right? But what I am trying to say to you is, doing this whole self-love, self-worth, self-care, looking after yourself, talking to people when you are feeling, when you are struggling, when you have a challenge. Talk to the people that are in your world that truly understand you and will help guide you. If you need to, get the necessary help, whether that, there is nothing wrong with seeking counseling, there is nothing wrong with having a life coach or a business coach or consultant, right? Because ultimately, we don't know everything. And I'm a firm believer you don't know what you don't know. And if there is somebody out there that can give you that additional guidance, there is no shame, there is no embarrassment, take it. And just reach out to the people that are in your life and let them support you, because ultimately we're only on this planet for a short period of time, and I would rather live my life without regret, and I would rather be in a situation where I reach out to those people who I care about, and I want to also support them. And at the moment, I am supporting a number of different people. And I've also had to take a step back on occasions. Like I've had to take a step back and look after myself first before I'm able to help them. I do actually practice what I preach. It is important. You can't pour from an empty cup. So just be aware of yourself. And this is all about self-awareness. And it's a really important part. And as a business owner, the more self-aware that you are in terms of where you are in your own mind, and that you have the ability to actually ask for help when you need it, that is something that is a brave thing. It is not a cowardly thing. There is nothing wrong with it. You do not have to face everything alone. So if anything I have shared with you has resonated, I'd love to have a chat with you and see how I can potentially help you. I do a lot of work on the mindset stuff within my program. I don't just talk about the kind of the traditional business sense. And even if on a personal level you want to reach out because this has actually impacted you, I'd love to hear from you. So thanks guys for listening. I hope you've gained some benefit from it, and I will see you all very soon.